My name is Alara Quinn. I'm 33 years old. And 3 days before my company went public, my family removed me from the group chat they had kept alive for 14 years. No warning, no explanation. Just gone, like I had been a typo they finally decided to correct. I noticed it at 6:12 a.m. while standing in my kitchen, holding a cup of coffee I hadn't tasted yet. The silence didn't shock me. The timing did, because people don't erase you when you're nothing. They erase you when you're about to become something they can't control. Before we go further, if you've ever been quietly pushed out of your own life, stay with me. And if you're new here, hit subscribe, because stories like this don't end where you think they do. Now let me take you back, not to the IPO, not to the headlines, back to the first time I learned what family meant in my house. I was 11 years old, standing in the hallway outside the dining room, holding a report card with straight A's. I remember waiting, not for praise, for acknowledgement. My father glanced at it, nodded once, and said, "Good, don't get comfortable." My mother didn't look up. My younger brother, Adrian, had just scored 2 goals in a soccer game that afternoon. Dinner was about him, it was always about him. That night I learned something I would carry for 20 years. Achievement doesn't earn love in some families, it earns silence. Fast forward, age 25. I quit my job at Deloitte, good salary, safe future. The kind of job families brag about at weddings. I left it to build a data security platform no one in my family understood. I tried to explain it once at dinner. My mother smiled the way people smile at children who talk too much. "That's nice," she said, "but what do you actually do?" Adrian laughed. "She makes passwords or something." My father cut his steak and said, "Come back when it pays your rent." That was the last time I explained anything to them. I moved into a studio apartment with cracked windows and a heater that sounded like it was negotiating its own death. I worked 16 hours a day, I ate noodles. I built something that worked. Then something that scaled, then something investors started noticing. My family didn't notice. Not when I raised my first 500K, not when I hired my first employee. Not when I moved into a real office. But they noticed something else, the shift, the quiet confidence, the fact that I stopped asking for approval. That's when the comments started. "You've changed, you think you're better than us now, we don't even recognize you anymore." Let me translate that for you. You stopped playing your role and now we don't know how to use you. 3 days before my IPO, my brother called me, first time in 8 months. "Hey," he said, like we had spoken yesterday. "Dad thinks you should consider giving the family a stake." I didn't respond immediately. Silence is a tool. "A stake in what?" I asked. He laughed. "Don't do that, you know what I mean. We supported you." I looked around my office, glass walls, 42 employees, a product used in 19 countries. "When?" I asked. "When did you support me?" Silence, then irritation. "You're really going to act like you did this alone?" "Yes," I said it quietly. Yes, that was the moment the tone changed, not just in that call, in everything. Because the moment you refuse to rewrite history for someone else's comfort, you become the problem. 2 days before the IPO, my mother sent an email. Subject line: "We need to talk before you embarrass the family." She wrote 800 words about sacrifice, about how she carried me for 9 months, about how family shares success. Not a single word about what I built, or how, or why, just ownership, emotional ownership. The kind that comes with invisible contracts you never signed. I didn't reply, I forwarded it to my lawyer. Because here's something I learned the hard way. When emotions start sounding like legal claims, you treat them like legal claims. The night before the IPO, I sat alone in my apartment, not sad. Not angry, just clear. There's a clarity that comes when you finally stop expecting people to become who you needed them to be. It's quiet, it's cold, and it's freeing. At 11:47 p.m., my father called. I almost didn't pick up. I did anyway. "You're making a mistake," he said. No hello, no name, just a verdict. "What mistake?" I asked. "You're cutting your family out." I took a breath. I didn't cut anyone out, I just didn't write them in. Silence, then the line that told me everything: "You owe us." "No," I said it softly. "No, I don't," he hung up, and just like that, the last thread snapped. The next morning at 9:30 a.m., I stood on a stage in New York and rang a bell that changed my life. Cameras flashed, applause. Headlines: self-made founder, tech disruptor, $2.1 billion valuation. What they didn't capture was the moment after, when the noise faded, and I checked my phone, no messages from my family. Not one, not even a congratulations. That silence, that was the most honest thing they had ever given me, because silence doesn't pretend. Silence tells the truth people won't say out loud. 3 hours later, the first article dropped. It mentioned me, my company, my journey, and one line that changed everything. Founded solely by Alara Quinn. Solely, that word travels. It reached people I hadn't heard from in years. Old classmates, former colleagues, even extended family, but most importantly, it reached my parents. My brother called again that evening. Different tone, softer, careful. We should talk, he said. About what? About fixing this. I almost smiled, not because it was funny, because it was predictable. There's nothing to fix, I said. Then why does it feel like you're punishing us? There it was, the inversion, the moment where your boundaries become their injury. I'm not punishing you, I said. I'm just not protecting you anymore. Silence, long one. You've changed, he said again. This time I agreed. Yes, I have, because growth in some families looks like betrayal. And independence looks like abandonment. 1 week later, my mother posted on Facebook, proud of my daughter for her success, family is everything. 126 likes, 34 comments, people love a clean story. They love the version where everything is fine. I screenshotted it, not out of anger, out of record, because memory fades, documentation doesn't. 2 weeks later, my father sent me a letter. Not an email, not a call, a letter, 3 sentences. I see what you've built, I underestimated you, I hope we can find a way forward. That was it, no apology, no ownership, just acknowledgement. For some people, that's growth. For me, it was data. I didn't reply, not immediately, because here's the truth no one tells you. Closure doesn't always come from conversations. Sometimes it comes from silence you choose to keep. Months passed, my company grew, my life expanded. New people, new rooms, new conversations where I didn't have to shrink to fit. I hosted my own dinners. Small ones, intentional ones, people who saw me, not the version of me they preferred, but the version I actually was. One night, sitting at a table I paid for in a home I built, surrounded by people I chose, I realized something. I wasn't missing my family. I was missing the idea of them. And those are not the same thing. A year later, my brother filed for bankruptcy. Bad investments, bad decisions, patterns don't disappear, they repeat. My mother called me that night, crying. He needs help. I listened, quietly. You're the only one who can fix this, she said. There it was again, the role, the expectation, the old script. I took a breath. No, I said gently. I'm not. Silence, then anger, then guilt, then silence again. I didn't argue, because you don't debate roles you've already resigned from. I sent him a number, a financial advisor. Professional help, not personal sacrifice, because support doesn't mean self-destruction. If you've made it this far, you already understand something most people don't. Family isn't defined by proximity, or history, or obligation. It's defined by alignment, by respect, by truth. And if those things aren't there, what you have isn't family. It's a contract you never agreed to. Let me leave you with this. There will be a moment in your life when someone calls you difficult, cold, uncomfortable. Pay attention to that moment. Because that's not about you, that's about the version of you they can no longer control. You are not too much, you are just no longer manageable, and that changes everything. That's my story. No dramatic ending, no reconciliation montage, just truth. I built something, I lost something, and in the process, I found something better, myself. If you're still here, tell me in the comments, what did they call you when you finally stopped playing your role? I'll read them, I always do.